I haven't seen. I know that there are people trying to do game engine stuff. I think it all boils down to a couple things. One, and I mean, all the game engines are fantastic. Unreal, Crysis, they're all great. And the renderers that they have are beautiful. I mean, you can do stuff there that's just gorgeous. The problem is for previs or for virtual production or for that front end, when you're trying to do meaningful animation out of it, it's really hard to set up one of these like sandbox environments because they don't have like the animation tool set. Or they don't have as robust an animation tool set as like a motion builder does. Otherwise, I'd love to like be able to grab Crysis and mocap right into it. That'd be fantastic. What you find is, and I know that Crysis is also working on, Crytek's working on stuff to emulate what we've been able to do with motion builder, but the reality is there isn't a set of tools that I can go grab any artist that comes out of Gnomon or the art school and grab them and put them to work immediately. Autodesk is going to win there every time because that's the tools they learn on. They learn on 3D Studio Max. They learn on Maya. All the great artists who are out there, they already know these tools. So to leverage an existing game engine, it's like, for us, it's always, well, you go to Autodesk and go, what do they have? Motion Builder may not be the best renderer in the planet, but it works. And everything you do in it can immediately pop over into Maya and be useful. Or vice versa. I can take tools immediately from Maya and take those animations or whatever from Maya and pop them directly into Motion Builder and be shooting that same minute. Whereas if I go to a game engine, I sort of populate the game engine and now, okay, I may have a camera in the game engine, but what if I want to change something? I don't really have that option. You sort of like bake it into that environment. If I want, you have to go back to the level editor and add new pieces to the level. It doesn't work that when you're this interactive process that I was describing a little bit ago, where you're trying to add and manipulate the environment and animations and doing blending all live while the director's standing there holding a camera. You really can't do that in a game engine. That's what makes the flexibility of what we've got with Motion Builder. I am very much a hands-on-the-ground, physical, be out there on the movie set guy when I deal with these things. So I have like great dreams for like very incremental things that'll make a huge difference. But the stuff that's most fascinating to me right now are anything that can do geometry reconstruction from pictures is huge. Because when we're out shooting live action, I want to be able to just spray an area with some device and have that in my computer instantly ready to shoot, ready to put the new assets into. That would be one thing where I'm sure there's a huge leap there. Metadata tracking, I know it's like it's the most boring part of all this stuff, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to be able to tag all these things that you're doing as you do them so that you can reconstruct them later. That's a huge one. And there are processes and tools that people are working on towards making that better. The rendering will get better. That's just, the real-time rendering will just get better and better and better as computer processing power increases and as the demands of the systems and the sort of the algorithms that are used to create these lighting effects and things become faster. That'll get better. I'm still looking for a way to do motion capture, generalized motion capture, without having to put people in the silly suits. That works. That's robust. And there's a lot of work that's being done on 3D geometry capture, bioform mechanical capture from multiple camera objects. There's a lot of work in that area, spatial phase-based geometry capturing, things like that. And that to me is very exciting because that also leads you into not having to have this big clunky 3D camera eventually and be able to get down to something that's a single sensor that gives you 3D space. And all of that is just getting better and better. Well, I'll use the example of Avatar as just to start, and then I'll lead into where it's going to go. But Avatar was great because we had a lot of time to work in 3D. We were working with all of our virtual production material, all the stage captured material in 3D as it came off the stage. Before it got turned over to Weta, we actually previewed it even in our crude fashion in 3D before we sent it out the door. So we were spelling out what the interocular and convergence values were for the cameras as they were going. And we built a whole little multiple Mobu box setup to do that. And I think it's absolutely vital if you're going to be making a 3D film to bring you know, explore that stereo space as early in the process as possible. So all the previs that I do now is almost all of it's, other than if it's just like slapped to get a, you know, an idea. Once it's been finalized and I know it's going to be going into a 3D film, I absolutely at that moment start working on the stereo space. And I'll actually design shots specifically around, you know, cool uses of the stereo space. And I may move objects in the scene to have it, you know, be more impactful in 3D, even in previs, to show what that's going to look like. And it does two things for the production. One, it's a really cheap way up front to look and see what our 3D is going to look like. So I'm starting to train the filmmakers, you know, and everybody involved in the process. We're training ourselves into what's the stereo look of this film going to be as early in the process as possible. Because, you know, do you want that sort of like window into a world, or do you really want to push it? Do you really want to go for the wide I/O and, you know, try and, you know, get the you know, things coming out on the screen a little bit more? And you want to find what that vocabulary is. Stereo for me is not a deal with it later, you know, issue. It really is. It can completely impact how you're going to shoot your film. I mean, like what kind of, I mean, for me, it's like practical stuff. What kind of platform? What kind of, you know, am I going to need a beam splitter for this? Is the side-by-side rig going to work? No, we're going to need a beam splitter. Okay, what kind of camera head am I going to need to put on my techno crane? Okay, now, is that going to fit? Can I get, you know, there's all these like practical rigging considerations that you have to get into when you go do live action. You can do that ahead of time. You can figure that stuff out using previs and virtual production, because I can start designing shots that, okay, yeah, that shot can be done because I can get that on a techno crane, or this shot here is going to be handheld. You know what, the rig's going to be too big. Let's rethink how we're going to shoot this. And you have to be able to do those things. And for me, it's like I'm the guy who has to stand there when the first AD's on the set screaming something's not working. I'm usually the one that's getting the finger pointed at. I'm like, what are we doing here? What platform are we supposed to be on? What are we supposed to? And I've got to be able to have an answer like right then. And so that's why these tool sets are like so vitally important to me. They're as much about pure construction and pure physicality as they are about the CG, you know, cool thing that's in the shot. I'm also showing you how to, hey, here's where the techno crane needs to go. Hey, here's this particular shot's going to be on a Steadicam. Okay, well, how are we going to rig that Steadicam? Is it up this way or is it over under? You know, and you can show them, okay, this is the best way to get there and get this kind of an angle on this shot if you've thought about it. And stereo is absolutely imperative to that, because again, you're going to design the shot differently if you know right out of the gate this is going to be in 3D, and you're going to think about it as a filmmaker. And I can't tell you how many previs sequences I've put together and then said, okay, now let's look at it in 3D, and then you're adjusting things for the 3D to make it cooler. And then if that previs is going to be used for a live action shoot, you know, do that. Oh, remember that foreground wipe we liked? We loved that foreground wipe. Let's pull the object for it. Whatever it is, you know, there's just various examples of why you'd want to do that. But it's imperative that if you're going to go down that path, that you think about it to begin with. Plus, man, stereo's new. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. From a production standpoint, there's not a lot of people out there who have practical on-set experience doing 3D. There are. I mean, there are some, and those that do are really good. But like, if you go ask how many stereographers have shot more than 2 films, you're going to get, you know, maybe 5 people. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, is it's like it's a very new industry. It's a very new thing that you're dealing with. So previs is vital in helping to train everybody, the director, the cinematographer, everybody on what makes good 3D. What does good 3D look like? You can do that in virtual production. You can do that in previs ahead of time before you get out there and start making those mistakes. It's very easy, and it's much easier to do with the tools now. I mean, now it's like off the shelf. You know, you hit the 3D camera button in Maya and go to town. I mean, we had to build all that for Avatar and those other things because it just didn't exist. But now it's much more built into the software, so it's a lot easier.